Hello, Brave Masters. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Jena Rodriguez. I'm your transformational mentor and business growth strategist, and I love helping top leaders, CEOs at plateaus, and those mission-focused entrepreneurs truly get clear on what they are here to do, what their higher purpose is, and how to break free from anything that hesitates or keeps you from your purpose and your mission. So I can't wait. I have an amazing friend of mine, Carey Conley. Hello, Carey. How are you?
Hello. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. This is so amazing. And I just want to kind of give people, I always like to let people know, how did we meet? And I'm like, you came to me and I was just like sitting on a couch after an event and you sat down. And at first I was like, were you a part of the event, or were you are you just floating around this lounge?
Did
you just come off the street? I was like, who are you? And of course that was the question. I'm like, I wonder who this wonderful lady is. And then we hit it off. And so I just knew that you would be amazing. Your story is unbelievable. And you would be perfect for this platform. So I'm excited to hear all about your Brave and to share you with the world. And so in the midst of that, I just want to, both of us, we can say thank you to the audience and thank you to those listening and sticking with us. I want you to make sure that you stay till the end and give us that feedback, give us that those comments, the reviews, whatever it is, because I know this is going to be a powerful show. So thank you, Carey, for being here. It's great.
I'm honored. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just take a minute to introduce yourself and share with everyone what your work is in the world.
Sure. So I'm a speaker and an author and a coach, just like you.
Yeah.
I end up working with a lot of solopreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs who are kind of in the beginning phases of their business, because I'm known as the vision expert. So what I do is I help people get what I call that wishy-washy hope and a wish and a prayer plan going on out of here and onto paper, so they can create a really rock solid business plan around it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
I think that's it is one of my cornerstones for sure, is, and the only time in my life where I really propelled forward was in the space of clarity. Right. I think it's a power lever. I think it's that gear shift that we all need.
Love that power lever. I'm going to use that.
Yes, take my sound bites. Trust me.
Yes.
They come all over this place. They come out of thin air, for that matter. And it's that clarity that, really helps us propel. And have you ever found yourself in a place where clarity wasn't present? And what did you do about it?
Well, I've been doing this for a really long time. So the first time I wrote my vision was when I was about 26 years old. So that was just a few days ago. But, at that phase of my life, Jena, I was doing what everybody else did in the late 80s. So this really dates me. I was working in corporate. So was my husband. We were doing the climb up the ladder thing.
Right.
And I was miserable as an employee. So I had a woman come into my life who said, what you need to do is you need to take an entire day off and write out in crystal clear, every little detail of your area of your life. What do you want your life to look like? You get to create it. And so I did that with a legal pad of paper. Yeah. And because this was the 80s. Right. And I got very, very clear on a lot of things, what kind of relationship I wanted to have with my husband, where we were living, how we spent our time, what kind of a mom I wanted to be once we had kids. And then I noodled a lot of ideas around, okay, if I were to be an entrepreneur, what would it be? Because I had never thought about it, really. And I wrote several things.
Yeah.
And because I was so in a still, quiet space that day, Jena, I believe that what was happening is that God and I were collaborating, and he was basically showing me, here's what I have in store for you. So there were things that came out on that piece of paper that I had no idea. And one of those things that at the very bottom of that piece of paper, I wrote that someday I wanted to be a trainer on vision and goal setting. No idea where that came from.
Yeah.
So I believe what happened that day, and what I see happen for a lot of people who go through this exercise with me, is that I kind of locked up with the universe.
Right.
And how showed up. So this ripple effect began, right?
Yes.
and started having my kids. I was introduced to a company that became my first entrepreneurial gig.
Mm.
I jumped into a company called Arbonne, which is
Yep.
network marketing, and I did that while raising my kids. And so my vision was revealed so strongly that when I started leading other people, the very first thing I told them to do was write their vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very clear about my purpose and where I'm going.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the power and the openness that it created, right? And I do. I think I agree with you. I'm like, of course you were co-creating, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting that you say that is about the stillness, because just what's today? I'm like, I think it was yesterday. I did a video about the 5 top lessons. It's my birthday month, so every time I have a birthday, I reflect and
Right.
look at it. And this year has been a big milestone for me around one of the lessons is stillness. And I wrote down, you'll love this, stillness is the best clarity creator.
So true.
I'm like, and you just spoke to that.
So
And yeah, and I don't think we get still enough,
no.
in our busy lives and our
No.
daily existence. So
We have quite an
yeah,
epidemic of everything but that.
everything but that. Yeah, 100%. So
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that. And so you said it was quite a long time ago. You set that in motion, and so what has been the trajectory of that? And clearly it gives you a guiding force
Right.
and a direction. How much did you veer off that course, and how did you get back to it?
Well, I've stuck to it pretty strongly, and I haven't drifted very far. And
Got it.
that is one of the benefits of having a really clear vision, is that you don't drift. And that's another epidemic in this world right now.
Yeah,
And I do
shiny
workshops,
object.
I ask people who has a focus problem in the room. And of course, everybody in the room is like, oh my God, that is so me.
Yeah,
Squirrel.
exactly.
So I have not drifted very far, even with the circumstances that have unfolded in my life, especially most recently.
Yeah.
I shared with you that day that, in the past 5 years, I've lost both my husband and my son to suicide. So it's
Yeah.
the biggest question I get now when people know that part of my story is, has your vision changed now that your life has changed so much? And how in the world are you continuing to do what you do in the midst of what you've been through? And
Exactly.
the answer is always, because I am so rock solid clear on my vision and my purpose. You can quit a job. You can quit a job. You can quit relationships. You can quit a lot of things. But when you know your purpose, you
Yes.
can't quit that.
Yeah, it'll always find you at some point.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
Now, the vision that I held of what I thought my life would look like from this moving forward with these now missing family members is different, of course. But
Sure.
what I do and why I do it remains the same. And as a matter of fact, it's been 10x'd
Yeah.
because of
Now
all of it.
it's like no time like the present, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Goodness.
And because, lack of vision is a very big problem as well, especially in young adults.
Mm. Yes.
When I ask them what they see their life looking like 3 years from now, they look at me and go, I don't even know what I'm doing in the next 3 months.
Right.
And that scares me.
Yeah.
They have no idea who they are and what their purpose is. And most of them come out of college looking around after 6 months into a job going, what just happened? Like, how did I get here?
Yeah. What's happening? Yeah.
Right.
There's feeling lost and
Totally.
displaced.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. And you compound that with all the other epidemics and issues they're dealing with. And it's, can be the perfect storm for something very sad.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very, very lost, depressed, don't know what to do about it. So, and not just to hone in on that. I mean, it's everywhere. It's my age group too.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're not taught this in school.
No.
We're given tasks and checklists and math problems, and yet I think the life skills are sadly ignored. And I have a teenager, and I have and so it's like I'm doing my best, a life coacher at home,
Yeah.
you know, and where she allows it, and knock on, you know, wood, so far she's, you know, fairly open to that, and she
Yeah.
leans into it. But,
It's
um,
good.
you know, it's just, it's sad. I would love to be a part of that shift and change in the youth, you know,
Yeah.
that there's more conversation that's happening than just how
Very
to
good.
solve a math problem, right? Or
Yes.
what have you. So, so let's definitely go back to your story, and not to obviously relive the sadness. I mean, I feel it every time, and I'm like, I don't know what to ask around this. I just feel so sad
No, a
for
lot of
you.
people
But
don't. I understand.
yeah, I'm sure you do. And so, of course, I would love for you, and I know that you have a voice and a message going on with you and your daughter,
Yeah.
and a book, and what have you. So I'd love for you to dive into it at the level that you wish to dive into it, and
Sure.
really uncover the miracles and the lessons and the brave, that has transpired because of this circumstance that certainly has occurred in your life.
Yes. So yeah, so you mentioned my daughter. I have a 25-year-old daughter who's married and now pregnant, and
Oh, wow. Yeah.
so we have a whole new vision of what's happening for us over the next 6 months to a year. And
Sure.
so at the beginning of this year, she and I decided it was time to write a book about our journey. And we decided this not because we felt the need to tell our story. As a matter of fact, that's the one part we didn't want to really do, but it comes with our territory. So
Right.
we wrote the book, Jena, because we realized going through this that so many people were starting to come forward to us and share with us that they were going through some of their own stuff, right?
Right.
And they were also asking us, you know, not only how we were getting through it, but a lot of them were asking us, I don't know how to help a friend of mine that's going through something. It's
Yeah.
been huge how many people have come to us saying, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
What do I do? So in the book, we tell a little bit about the story and the circumstances and what happened. And we weave it through the chapters, but it's 11 chapters of things that we learned
Hmm.
through this whole thing that helped us, so that we believe it will help somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's really what the chapters are about. We break the chapters into me talking and then her talking.
Mm.
So it has different perspectives. And then at the end, there's questions. So it's almost like you could do it like in a small group,
Mm.
as
Yeah.
a discussion. So yeah, we launched the book. It came out on November 11th, which is my son's birthday.
Mm.
It would have been his 28th birthday. We had a huge event here in Arizona. A lot of press and media around it, and have been on a 3-city book tour, and are now starting to see the wave begin of people who have read the book. They're sharing the book. They're ordering more books because they think of other people that need to
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that ripple effect has began.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, for sure.
Thank
And
you.
just from yeah, you know, it's a message. And I know you and I, when we met, we were talking about how, some people even judged the, like, how can you talk about that? How can you, you
Yeah.
know, or, I don't know if you use this word, like exploited or something like that. I
Mhm.
don't remember if we
Yes.
talked in that manner, but can you speak to what is it that you had to come through? I mean, you know, it's like not only does this circumstance happen in too many people's lives, but there's certainly people that have not experienced that specific circumstance, and especially double,
Yeah.
right? Your husband and then your son. And so not only, I mean, you know, it's like your husband was first,
Mhm.
and then of course I don't think you would have imagined your son being a part of that conversation again. So it's just, can you speak to, like, how did you keep you
Mhm.
in together and strong and brave? And I'm not expecting you to say you were strong the whole time, but like,
Yes.
just tell us a little bit of that underbelly, if you would.
Well, when we lost my husband, you know, I had my kids. And
Yeah,
so when you have people who are leaning on you as a mother, you just keep going.
that's true.
And both of them were at a place. My son had just graduated from college and was starting a new job here in Arizona, which is why I live here now. We're from Colorado. So I had to get him here, get him settled. My daughter needed to get back to college. I still had a large clientele in Colorado and then starting a clientele in Arizona. So for the next 2-3 years, it was all about us rebuilding our life as our family was, and me getting settled in a whole new place.
Right.
When we lost my son, it was a whole different thing. So
Got it.
at that moment, it's like the floor just drops out underneath you. And for the first few months, you are just getting by.
Yeah.
And
Numb.
just one foot in front of the other, and you lean on a lot of people, and you take a lot of time off. So I didn't do a whole lot that year after I lost my son.
Sure.
I maintained working with the clientele that I had. My daughter got engaged, and we got through a wedding, and I did what I could for about a year.
Got it.
Until I figured out, was I going to keep moving forward with my speaking and coaching career, or was I going to do nothing or start something new? I mean, it was all a huge identity shift, which is one of the things we talk about in the book a lot.
Yeah.
Strength comes from something divine at this point, my friend. And I'm just going to tell you, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I'm with you on that.
if it was all on me, this would not be what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah. You know, and I'm so glad you say that, because honestly, I don't think it requires, losing a family member to actually honor that truth.
yes.
Because even myself, and I don't know if I don't remember if we talked about this, but, I speak a lot about it. Like last year, I hit a spiritual rock bottom, as I call it.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe the world around me, still looked the same, but my
Yeah.
internal world was like, this isn't working, this is not happening. And the weight of the, I do everything and I take care of everything. And, it's like, if I don't take care of it, it doesn't get done. And, this it's kind of like left to my own devices approach is not how life opens up for us, no matter what the circumstances are. And so I think strength is, and even the brave master, as I obviously talk about a lot, is it's about not only facing self, but allowing allowing source to be your source, right?
Yeah.
And so especially in situations like your own, I think just as a human lesson, right? Regardless of circumstances going on. And I too found it in my youth when I was faced with, domestic violence going on in my household, is the question or the phrase I heard myself say so many times at milestones in my life: there's got to be a better way. And
Right.
so that was my opening statement to somebody else tell me, right?
Yeah.
Divine intervention come through, because I don't know the answer, and I don't know I can't figure it out on my own.
Right.
And so I love that you speak to that, and you said that's in the book as well, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, the book is entitled "Keep Looking Up" for a reason.
Okay, got it.
It's the last chapter of the book, and it's the most important chapter, because our answer, Laurel, my daughter's name is Laurel. Laurel and I's answer is always that what is getting us through is that we have a heavenly perspective, that we know that they are still here, that we will all be together again, that anytime we get too down is usually because we're focusing on earthly stuff that really doesn't matter in the long run.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just have been launched into a whole different way of looking at the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps us going.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And it's interesting. What it makes me realize is, number one, I need a copy for someone I know, a family member that lost their son very early from cancer. And cause I hear her pain, and I hear her, I'm lost, and I don't know, it's like how to function, and it's been 3 years, and she's finding the light, and she, and I know she leans on that, on divinity and source. And, but I would love that, right? I would love to pass that along. And, and I appreciate your, I just appreciate you guys, you and your daughter both, number one, being so vulnerable and open and willing to go through it. I mean, it's like now you have to like relive the conversation probably more than you wish, right? That's like, I'm one more person asking you to open that back up, please. But I get the gift inside of it as well, right? You know, and how the purpose is to help someone else. And so considering, like you said, you started very early in life with this vision and the relationship. And I'm curious, how much is your relationship now even stronger with your husband? Based on that vision that you wrote.
What do you mean?
I apologize. So when you said that, you know, you wrote down the vision that you had for your relationship and all that back early years, 20 something, right?
Right.
And obviously the form of you and your husband has changed. But I'm curious how much of that vision is still present.
Well, I very much feel him, and most especially my son, because he's very, very close to my son, around me all the time. And I have people come forward and tell me it happened again yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware that they are there. I'm very aware that they are cheering Laurel and I on and encouraging us and working through us this whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, so many people have asked me, I got this question again yesterday, if I have started dating, I'm pursuing another relationship. And to be honest with you, it's not something I've thought about at all. And I think it's because my husband and I have been together since I was 17.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, over half my life.
Yes.
So it would take a lot for me to think about somebody else in that role.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here.
We'll see what opens up, right? And I think that's the amazing part, is that, you know, your purpose is still being fulfilled. Your vision is still being fulfilled, even though it just looks quite different from what you may have imagined it to be. Right. And that, I think that's amazing that you know, continue to step forward in that.
Yes.
And you and your daughter doing it together. And congratulations on baby coming. How cool.
Yeah.
Right? Do we know if it's a boy or girl?
It's a boy.
I had a feeling.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so let's go back to, you know, you and your daughter really making that turn towards, we're going to speak up about this. What was that conversation or that transition into, you know, like, this is something we've gone through, but now it's time to say something out loud? How did that go?
Well, I think that she and I both got to a point, Jena, where we just got frustrated with the questions, with people not knowing what they don't know.
Right.
And so it became for us a matter of, okay, people they don't have a clue what's happening right here and how to handle it. And so the best way for Laurel and I to get to a point where we weren't doing this individually over and over and over again.
You're right.
And also we're finding out that people were wanting to ask questions, but they weren't. And we also wanted people to know what we went through and how much it affected us because of, again, them not knowing how some of their friends are going through something and they're not understanding the depth of it.
Yeah, true. And
sometimes we talk about this in the book. You will do something for somebody because of what you want done for you. And it misses the mark.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not something to blame somebody for. We have another chapter on grace and mercy because people just don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
But I think the biggest thing that most of the people who've come forward now, read the book, have said they've gained the most insight on is how to deal with somebody who's going through something, or they're grieving.
Right.
Because we talk about most specifically mirroring this individual. So if they want to talk, let them talk. If they don't want to talk, don't make them talk. If they're not huggers, which my daughter and I aren't, you know, they're not going to be the people who want to sit in a big circle and hug and cry it out, right? It's right. Yeah. It just sheds a lot of light on because you're not in it, you don't know until somebody says, here's kind of what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah. I
Right.
love the mirroring idea.
Yes.
I think that can translate into many different scenarios, from grieving or, sadness, depression, whatever the struggle is, and number one, just ask, how can you be supported? And
Right.
I'm sure, I don't know if you get this, but I've also heard people say, well, I don't even know how I need to be supported right
Yeah.
now. So mirroring sounds good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the best question Laurel and I got was from a friend of ours that this literally was about 2 or 3 weeks after Cole died. She just came up to and said, you're going to have to coach me on what you need. And I looked at her and I said, that is the best question.
You're like, thank you.
Yeah. Like, because I obviously am not in your shoes. I don't know what's going on in your head.
Right.
I don't want to say something that is going to make it worse or not help. So, can you coach me along a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. But isn't that a powerful place to be in, where it, instead of people misaligning with what you want or need, and even if you're not even sure, but it's a misalignment, that now you have the communication space and the openness with that friend or whoever it is to co-create the experience, right? And like figure it out and have that permission. So I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And so what, in all of this, and I mean, you said it within the last 5 years, right? What has been the most surprising thing going through it and being where you are now? Like, what's the most surprise?
I think my daughter and I would probably tell you the biggest surprise are the people who have left our life. Yeah. The people that have come up alongside us have surprised us, and the people that we thought were going to be there the most have disappeared.
Wow.
And that's been surprising.
Have you been able to discern what might be the reason or what might be going on for them?
Oh, I think it's so many things, and it's probably very individual, but again, because your identity, the person who goes through something, changes.
Yes.
That you change the rules and the dynamics of the relationship.
Yeah.
Especially inside a family. So it's very hard for people to adjust to that. I think also sometimes it's just flat out people just do not know what to do, and so they just choose not to do anything.
Avoid. Yeah.
And I think in some cases they are also in so much pain that being around you or trying to stay connected to you just can't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I was like, I heard the question come in and I'm like, okay, ask this one. I'm like, not that I love the answer, but I like that that's the surprise, because I don't feel like people get that is the potential outcome of any transition, any change, anything that shifts in our space and our identity. And of course, I talk a lot about being true to who you are. And sometimes who you are changes, and therefore the people in the dynamic shift right around us. And but that is an interesting surprise, isn't it?
Yes.
And so, what would you say has been the hardest thing to break through? And maybe you're still working on it. I don't know.
I think the hardest. I'm grabbing the plug to my laptop real quick because
We're dying.
Yeah.
our power is.
I would hate all of a sudden for you to just like disappear in the middle of this whole thing. So sorry.
We're almost done.
The hardest thing to break through has been, being this transparent.
Okay.
I especially would rather not.
Yeah, sure.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it the circumstance, meaning what's the transparency part that's hard, meaning how you feel about it, or what is going on for you internally, or the fact that it happened?
Well, all of the above, but because I am a public person who's very private by nature.
Yes.
So I'm always like, I'm leaving you in about 20 minutes to go to a huge networking event. Well, there will be hundreds of people. And a lot of those people follow me, so they know my story.
Yes.
So every time somebody approaches me, I can tell that they are thinking about my story.
Got it.
So you no longer are just Carey Conley, you are a story,
Mm,
right? And
interesting.
so that I think is the hardest thing about the transparency piece, and why most people, I'll bet, choose not to be transparent and vulnerable about the stuff that's going on in their life,
Right.
because they know once they do that, it changes how people will see them.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because I also would ask, and just because I know my answer, I know why I started getting because I'm a private person too. I think that's probably common. And there's a reason why I spoke up, right? And and only recently have I actually started speaking more openly about the childhood hardships, and there's some other stuff that I'm like, oh, it's going in the book, but
Yep.
am I going to write it? Am I going to do it? And so I'm working through some of that. And you're right. I think it absolutely opens us up to people's opinion of it, or their
Yeah.
reaction to it, or the judgment of it, or what have you. And so what are you finding to be your solid ground in sharing and being transparent? What is the lesson for you? Maybe what's the gift inside of it that you're finding?
Well, surprisingly, when Laurel and I started writing the book at the beginning of the year, we actually used a ghostwriter, Jena. So we talked it out. And
Yeah.
so talking it out, of course, got us through a lot of healing.
Yes.
And Laurel and I learned a lot about each other, which brought us closer together. It became easier for us to talk about the story,
Yes.
because now we've done it over and over and over again. And really, the foundation that you're asking me about is that I know that it's my purpose.
Yeah.
It's what I've been called to do. So when I thought about doing nothing,
Mm-hmm.
because I did have that option, it was really never an option, because I knew that if I didn't do something with our story, then what was it all worth?
Right. Right.
So,
And the lives you can impact because of it. Right.
right.
And
Yes.
I think we do hide in our own pain too much. And, like meaning alone,
Yeah.
alone inside of it. And yet we all have it. We all have some experience that we've gone through or had to overcome, or, whatever. And for me, yes, the transparent, because I'm an introverted, like, I'll keep that to myself and just overcome it. That was kind
Right.
of my motive. I'll just make it different, fix it. And yet, and so you're correct. It's like the more I speak about the hardships and the things I've gone through and the ups and downs and the transparency of that, not only does it get easier to speak of,
Mhm.
because now it's not defining me. It's internally, it's not holding me hostage.
Right.
And then the first time I opened up about, something very private on a stage, the moment I got off that stage and a woman's crying, walking up to me, grabbing my arms and going, oh my God, this is so good. Thank you so much for opening up,
Right.
because this is who I am. This is you, you're
Yeah.
speaking my story. And I was like, started to cry with her. And I was like, that's why I speak up. That's why I show up, is because I
Right.
just changed someone's life. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, the purpose and
Exactly.
the calling.
Mhm.
So I honor you for that. I know it's
Thank
hard.
you.
I know what it's like, and I know the judgment on the other side of it. And yet I would just say that's okay. Like,
It
this
is
is for
okay.
someone that needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is okay, because I know that a lot of people um, probably would not share this story,
Yeah.
probably don't agree with how we're handling it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
but
yet it's true to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not about me, so I don't take it personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And it's okay that they have that feeling, because I get it. I think
it
we're
is,
just, it's a mirror reflection of what they might not be able to do for themselves or can't be with
right?
or what have you. And you're just being you. You're being you. So I love it. I love that. And
Yes.
I think that's the ultimate Brave Master, is how true can we be to ourselves and what we know to be our calling and our purpose, and then go deliver on that and use whatever vehicles we see fit to make that happen. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Mhm.
And thank you for that kind of candid conversation about it. And I look forward to reading the book and seeing more of all of the greatness that you and your daughter transform in the people that you touch and the world at large, and certainly on this platform. And so I just appreciate everything you
Thank
are.
you.
So it's
Well, I
awesome.
appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, 100%. No doubt. That was an easy decision.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm really excited to know you. So
Thank you.
beautiful.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you. And in closing, I would love for people to find you and have access to you. So what is the best way to connect?
You know, I'm big on Facebook. I have a lot of people who follow me there, so they can just find me under my name, Carey Conley. I also have a private Facebook group page. Never know how to say that right. That we're creating if people want to start following along with the next things that my daughter and I are creating together to help people with their vision and their purpose and getting through adversity. And it's
Awesome.
Vision Driven Life.
Love
So
that.
that's the best place to go and join that little group.
Yeah. So it's open to the public. They just have to click and join. So
Yes.
therefore to get in. I know.
Exactly.
I'm like, what do we call it? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
There's a couple of them
unique.
under that name, so make sure they, find the one of me in a picture of white.
Okay, got
I'm
it.
all in white.
Find the Carey Conley one. Okay,
Yeah.
Vision Driven Life, and we'll make sure we get the link and put it in the show notes and direct
Perfect.
them there. And so as we close out, I always like to finish with this question: if this was your last presentation, your last talk, your last interview, your last stage, nothing more to ever be said, what would be the message you want to leave in the world?
You need to know your purpose. I mean, the bottom line is that we all were sent here with a very unique mission that each of us are equipped to do.
Yeah.
And most people are not anywhere near following out their vision and purpose, which is why most people are so unhappy.
100%.
And my whole why I do what I do is to help people get that vision on paper, because it helps reveal their true purpose.
Yes.
So they can lock and load on that.
Yeah. And live their purpose, not just know it.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yes. Well, that's why you and I get along so well. I'm with you on that. I think people have an amazing, path to follow, and so many people aren't, like truly stepping into it. So we're here to tell them it can be done.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
thank you so much. Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you, Jena. This was
You're
fun.
welcome.
This was fun. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm glad you were here, and everyone watching, please, if this touched you in some way and reached into your heart and said, wow, that's what I needed today, I'd love to have that feedback. Please just leave a review or comment below, and Carey and I both would love to hear from you. Until next time, let's go get our brave on.